Welcome to the Knitpicking Knitting Podcast. This is going to follow the, regular format. I'm going to talk about the vest I'm wearing, some projects I've finished recently, and yarn. Okay, so what I'm wearing. This is the See My Vest by Emily, what's her name? Bolduan, I don't know how to say it. This is I knitted it using a Noro Hanui Silk, which I bought in Switzerland. I think it's a very nice pattern. It's built for like chunky weight yarn, so it's very simple. It took me like 4 days, I think, of not really putting too much work into it. It was well written and it's free, which is always good. Yeah, I used less than one skein. They come in at 150 gram skeins, so it was 24 grams, which is always fun. I don't really know what I can say about this. It's a very nice yarn. It peels like crazy. I think I wore it one time before it started peeling very clearly. I think because it's one ply, it doesn't have a lot of structural integrity. But overall it's nice, it's fun, it's very cropped because I had less than 150 grams. Yeah, I think I knit in size L. I used 5 millimeters. It's very loose. You can see through it, but you definitely cannot knit anything looser than this and still have it look fine. And I mean, if you want it poly, you can have it poly. Yeah, I don't really think I have a lot to say about this. I think it's a very nice vest. Okay, so for the big ones, this is my Fuyuhi sweater. I don't remember how to say it. It's my favorite sweater I knitted. If I'm wearing a sweater, I'm wearing this one 99% of the time. It's knit in Plötulopi Istex. I don't remember the colors because I bought them a very long time ago. I might write them somewhere if I'll find them. I used two strands of the Plötulopi and one dropped kid silk in a color that was vaguely similar. It's not very important because the drops kid silk is so light compared to the Plötulopi. You don't see it, you don't feel like you're knitting with it at all. It doesn't affect the gauge. It's just to give it a bit more structure when you knit, because the Plötulopi it's a very lovely yarn, but it's very rustic and it's unspun, so you can just pull it apart. And if you're holding it with a strand of some sort of silk mohair or something, it's a bit easier to knit with it, especially if you want to do something like texture. But yeah, I really love the yarn. It's probably my favorite yarn. It has a lot of very beautiful colors. I think every single one of them, they're very like deep colors. They have a lot of colors within every color. I don't know how to say it, but they're very nice. And I knitted it using 6 millimeters. It's definitely loose. You can't see anything because it's so fluffy, but it has no structure at all, and it's very drapey. And when it's cold outside, you can feel a bit of you can feel it's holy. So 6 millimeters is definitely 6.5, I think even. Yeah, I use 6.5 millimeters. It's a bit too much for 2 strands of Plötulopi, but you can knit with probably anything between 3 and a 7 and get something very nice. But it's better to use something like around 4 or 5. 5.5 is probably still very good. I don't find it scratchy at all. Like, it's very prickly. If you're sensitive to wool, you're definitely not going to like this. But I think it's very soft because it's unspun, so it is a bit prickly, but I don't think it's scratchy. Yeah, and it's like a cloud, so soft. What else can I say about this? I made some modifications. I mean, you can clearly see that there's no orange in the sleeves, which is I just got tired of it because I knitted this thing during a week with like, and it was probably the only thing I did during this week. So I was tired, but the sweater itself was supposed to have like those bat wings. The armpit hole was supposed to go like here or something, and I'm very much not a fan of that, so I just split for bodies and sleeves way earlier. And I'm glad I did it. I think it fits very well and it doesn't look weird. I think you're supposed to split like around here or something. And I think another thing I did was I made the neck hole way wider. I was not sure how sensitive I will be to this wool, because I know that even if you think it's soft and it's fine when you hold it, it's not the same as actually wearing it. I should have just do some sort of test. Like, I heard people talk about like knitting a small gauge swatch and then putting it in your bra strap or something for a day and see if it bothers you. But I wasn't sure if it's going to be a problem or not, so I wanted to have a very wide neckline, and it came out a bit too wide, so I had to put an elastic in, and now it scrunches. You can see it's not lying flat as a result of that, which is definitely my problem and not the patterns. There's a bit of too much fabric here, but overall I'm very happy with this. I think it's my favorite yarn. I have plans for at least 3 other sweaters I want to knit with this, because it's very, I don't know, I think it's very fun to work with. I definitely love the fact that you don't have to weave in any ends, and you can just switch between skeins if you want. I haven't woven in any of the ends here, but this is just laziness. It's not going to fall apart. I can just cut it with my hands even. There's absolutely no reason I haven't done this. I think the pattern was very well written. It had very clear instructions. It wasn't complicated, and it wasn't complicated to modify it, because it's very clear what's going on at every point. There's some you need to catch floats at a few points, like here you can see there's 5 stitches, I think. The most you have to catch floats is 4 or 5 stitches, which is not that much, but I got all of them, I think, at least once in those sections of 5 stitches, and it was complicated. I heard something about like color dominance, and I wasn't sure, because I heard a lot of people talk about color dominance when they're talking about Fair Isle knitting and like Irish knitting and Shetland and stuff like this, and then I heard Norwegian people saying that color dominance is not a thing, it's just a tension problem. So I'm not sure. I would probably have to play around with this, because this is because it's such a loose gauge, you can see the color I held behind if you look very closely, and a lot of spots. Essentially every time I cut my yarn, cut my floats, you can see it somewhere. I don't really mind. I think it still looks fun and fluffy and very nice. But if if it bothers you, you definitely need to knit with something way tighter than my gauge. Yeah, and I messed up here in a few places. I haven't thought, this was the first time I knitted color work, so I haven't thought about the beginning, the location of the beginning of round. So it's on here, I think, on the front. It's on the front of my sweater. On the sleeve, it doesn't bother me. I think it looks weird. It looks weird. Maybe you can see it here. It doesn't look very good. And the line is definitely messed up. You don't really see it. You don't notice it if you're not actually looking. Like, people don't notice it. I think people who knit can see it, but that's fine. And because of the loose gauge, the armpit connection looks very wonky. I should probably go over this with some more yarn just to tighten it up, but I'm being lazy about this, so I'm not going to do it. Adding the elastic was not the easiest thing, because this is rib and it's very loose. Then I couldn't find a way to hold the elastic without it being very visible. So I sewn in I took like a very light fabric which wouldn't have any sort of structure, and sewn like a tube in the collar, and then put the elastic inside. It took me like, I think 30 minutes or something. It wasn't very difficult, and I like it. I mean, it looks weird when you're not wearing this sweater because you can see it, but I don't care. And it works perfectly fine. Even though it scrunches up. I think maybe blocking. I haven't blocked this since I only blocked this before I put the elastic in, so maybe blocking it again will remove the bulk here. And it reacts very beautifully, I think, to blocking. Like, I blocked this a few months ago and the sleeve still lies very flat and the lines are very clear. Yeah, it flares out a bit, I think, in the rib, because I haven't made any try to actually straighten all the lines. I just let it dry because I wasn't sure exactly what fit I wanted and what I wanted to do with this. But yeah, overall I'm very happy. It's a great yarn. I'm gonna knit with it again. No, okay. So the next thing, this is a very boring one because everyone have done this probably. Everyone talked about this, but I knit a Oslo Hat. You can't see anything because it's black. I wanted to try and knit this using one skein of yarn, so it's very small. It proved that you can knit. I think if I wouldn't do the triple folded brim, it would be fine. I think maybe, I'm not sure. I need to mess around a bit more with the fit. If you don't know, the Oslo Hat is a pattern by PetiteKnit. It's a very nice one. It's definitely a very popular one. I'm not very excited about this. I think the idea of having, like, the way the hat works is that you have the brim which you fold, and there's some knitting after the fold. You can't see anything because it's black, but there's some knitting after the fold. So if your hat is pulled up a bit, a tiny bit more than it should be, you can see a section of stockinette, of like the right side of stockinette, which is supposed to like hold it together a bit better, but I don't think it matters. I don't think it improves anything much, and the triple folded brim is too it's a bit too chunky for me, I think, way too warm. So I will probably not do something like this again. I knitted this using Sunday by Garn. It's a very good yarn, I think. Yeah, I used, I think, exactly like 48 grams or 49 grams. It was very a very extreme game of yarn chicken. I wasn't sure when to start the decreases. I had to guess, and I wasn't optimistic at all. It was essentially, I knitted the smallest hat I could knit that would still fit me, and it was almost exactly 50 grams. So you can knit this with 50 grams on 3.75 millimeters, because I wanted something that is, again, very loose. Usually my knitting is very tight, and I live somewhere warm, so I don't really see much of a point of knitting something very warm on very tight gauge. But yeah, I don't think I have a lot to say about this. It's one of PetiteKnit's like well-written patterns. Like she has some problems with some of the cable sweaters. Like a lot of the sizes are full of mistakes. There's translation mistakes in some of the patterns. I think it's not. It wasn't a problem with this one. It's usually not a problem with the simpler projects, and there's nothing. I think there's nothing exciting about this pattern, and the yarn is very soft. It's the Garn Sunday in the regular like black color. I don't have the yarn band with me, so I can tell you what's the number. But it's a very nice yarn. It's definitely not scratchy, very soft. I don't think there's anything very interesting to say about this. Okay, so I'm going to move on to something more interesting. Okay, so I'm self-drafting a sweater. Right now it's in the stage of knitting the sleeves. It's a bottom-up raglan, it's a yoke construction, bottom-up. It has some color work, fairly simple. The yoke is going to be all color work, but the bottom is fairly simple. I'm drafting this myself. I don't really have plans exactly for the yoke. I'm making this up as I go along. I'm trying to start the sleeves. This is a bit of a mess right now. I just finished the cuff, but I think I need to do some things here, because I haven't really planned the color work motif I want to have near the cuff, and I love straight sleeves usually, so it's not difficult to plan how your sleeve are going to look like, or the color work, because you can start like decide on a motif that is I know a repeat of 8 stitches or something, both in the yoke and in the hand, in the sleeve, and then it's very simple. But I'm not very sure what color work I want to do, so it's very much a work in progress. I know I want to do a yoke construction because it's my favorite. I think it looks the best and it's the most fun to do. But I don't have much more than this. I'm knitting this using I think it's called Yarnadelic. I'm not sure. It's by John Albon Textiles. It's 100% Corriedale, sport weight. It has 333 meters per 100 grams. I'm using 3.5 millimeter needles, and the gauge is very nice, I think. I don't have, again, the ball bands with me usually, but I have 2 of them. This is the color name is the beautiful one, and this one is Galetta Guitar. I've absolutely no idea what it means, but the yarn is very beautiful. It has a lot of different colors in it, like the purple has purple and pink and red and blue and purple, obviously. I think it's very beautiful. The white is full of a lot of colors, very pastel, kind of like a mix of colors, which I'm a very big fan of. It was very expensive, like ridiculously expensive, compared to the fact that it was one of the first yarns I bought. But I'm happy I got it because it's very, very, very nice. You can see. And it's not very, the knitting is not very nice looking. I hope blocking will make it look fine, but it's a bit wonky. It's not a very fluffy yarn, so it doesn't hide your mistakes at all. But it's okay. It's one of the first sweaters I knitted. I think it's, I finished knitting my first sweater before I started this one. It's a very long project because planning the yoke, the color work for the yoke is taking me a while. So it's fine if it's a bit wonky, I think. What can I say about this? I have 3 balls of the brown. I think this is 1 ball of the brown. And if I want this sort of cropped, it's enough, without even starting the yoke. So it's definitely, I have 3 balls of the brown, and which I finished one of them, and 1 of the white and 1 of the purple. Maybe you can see the color. Wait, let me try. Not good enough lighting. Never mind. So I definitely have enough. I think I want to knit fingerless gloves, colorwork fingerless gloves with the yarn I'll have left over when I finish. But we'll see. Hopefully I will have the colorwork planned soon, because I really want to have this better and have it finished. Okay. The next thing is all of this yarn I bought. A few weeks ago I saw on Ravelry the Stardew Valley socks by Oakwood knits, I think. This is a set of 4 patterns of colorwork socks based on the Stardew Valley game. They have one for each season, and they're all very beautiful. And I really wanted to knit them. I really wanted to knit them for myself and for a friend of mine. But you need like 14 colors or at least 14 colors for each one of them, different sock yarn colors. And I definitely don't have the kind of stuff at home. But if you want to knit all 4 of them, then you can use like 23 colors. And I think some of them need almost 20 colors themselves. So I felt like it, why not? So I ordered 23 balls of yarn. Okay. The pattern itself is using Knitpicks palette for the socks. I am not very excited about buying 24 skeins of Knitpicks palette, especially because it's not a sock yarn. I would definitely be terrified wearing these socks outside because they're going to be a horrific project. I think it's going to be very fun, but it's going to take a crazy amount of work. So I'm probably not going to put them in my boots and go outside. but still making socks with no nylon scares me a bit. And they're not, like, Knitpicks palette is not tightly spun, it doesn't have nylon, it's definitely not going to last. And if I'm making this much effort to knit a pair of socks, I want it to last. So I decided to buy a different yarn for this. And this is, I knew I would need roughly 20 something different colors. The specific colors will depend on what yarn brand you choose, because you'll have a different range of colors. And I knew I'm going to make some tiny modifications for some of the colors, because I won't have the opportunity to buy the exact same colors anyway. And this is like 23 skeins of sock yarn is a lot of money, and it's a lot of sock yarn. And Drops were having an alpaca sale like they do every year, so I decided to buy as many of them as I can with Drops Nord. Now, I knitted a pair of socks with Drops Nord before. I think it's a very nice sock yarn. It has 25% nylon, 30% polyamide, 25% wool, 45% alpaca. It's a very nice sock yarn. It's very soft. It's not going to be very durable, but the big plus is that it's like £2 per ball, which is a few pounds cheaper than every other sock yarn I could come across. And if I need to buy 25 of them, I wanted to buy the cheapest. It's very nice to work with. It's very fluffy. You can feel the alpaca. It's very drapey. I can't say anything about how long it lasts because I haven't worn the socks enough, but it's definitely a fun experience to knit with them. So I decided to buy as many of them as I can using Drops Nord. But there are a lot of colors Drops Nord doesn't have, or that they're not a good enough match. So what I couldn't buy in Drops Nord, I bought in Drops Fable, which is also fairly cheap. I think it's maybe £3 or something. So Drops Fable is another sock yarn. It has 25% polyamide, 75% wool. Again, it's a nice sock yarn. Nothing very excited about this. I think some of the colors are very nice and have a lot of like different strands of different colors in them, and some are very flat and looks fairly cheap. I think some of the Fable, like this one, I think it's a nice beige, but it looks very cheap. There's one that's even worse, like this one. This looks like acrylic to me, just like color wise, I think, because it's so flat. So some of the colors are definitely nicer than others, but I really needed a very wide range of very specific colors, because like for example, when you knit, like you need different greens for different plants, and you need them to be different enough from one another. I don't know, it doesn't really seem that different here, but yeah, so it took me like I think an hour to pick all of these, and I still couldn't find all of the colors I needed using Drops Fable and Nord, especially the orange ones. The orange ones really, I couldn't find anything good. So I caved and got three of the colors are West Yorkshire Spinner's Signature 4-ply. I wanted to try this yarn for a very long time. I'm not going to say like the specific color for all of the Nord and Fable. I can give a list if anyone wants, but it's going to take me a while to just read all of them. But the West Yorkshire Spinners are Amethyst, Turmeric and Nutmeg. I really love them. I still think it looks very flat, the color here, and it's not the most beautiful sock yarn, but I think when you watch so many people knit with hand-dyed yarn, the standards are very high. I really love this purple. I think it's very nice. So I wanted to use West Yorkshire Spinner Signature 4-ply for a while. I heard they last forever, which is always good for something you worked for a few weeks on. And they are a bit more expensive, also because they come in 100-gram balls. But I thought it was worth trying, and I really needed different types of orange, different hues of orange for the fall season sock. So hopefully these oranges will look a bit similar, especially in camera, but I think it's going to be fine. So overall, this is, I think, the equivalent of 25, because the West Yorkshire spinners is 100 grams. I need roughly 50 grams for a pair of socks, which fit me well and are not very high, but I don't know, a normal sized pair of socks is 50 grams on me. So this is enough for 25 pairs of socks. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all of this yarn after I knit the Stardew socks, if I'll knit. Like, maybe I won't enjoy knitting them. Maybe I'll hate colorwork socks. But a lot of these colors are very nice, and they're very nice together, and they're not necessarily colors I would have bought myself, and not combinations I would have thought to try. And I think it'll be a fun opportunity, even if I don't like the Stardew socks, to try and make different colorful socks, which is not something, like most of my knitting is brown, beige, green if I'm like very I'm being brave. So this is definitely going to be fun. I will need to find more sock patterns to deal with all of this, because I think it's self-explanatory. I also got some 2mm DPNs from Drops. It was the cheapest. I just wanted to try it out, and I think with aluminium it's not really it doesn't matter that much. Maybe I'm wrong, but I wanted to try, because I knit very loosely, and I thought that if I'm trying to make sturdy socks in general, it's worth to have 2mm. And I'm a big fan of DPNs. I know it's not very popular, but I think it's more fun. So I got some of these. Overall, there are really nice colors here. I think my favorite, I really like this. All of them have like the yarn colors are not written on the Bolduan. So like, this is the only thing I have here about this yarn color, is that it's color 19. But I think it's very nice, and I really like the more colorful ones, like there's a dusty pink, I think it's called, maybe, and the lemongrass, which I can't find right now because there are 25 balls of yarn here. But I think they are very beautiful.